But in regards to the actual project on the property there, I think that a lot of the concerns regarding fire safety, regarding density are very important conversations. It's good to know that an HOA community is exempt from some of the state's requirements for upzoning and higher density. Maybe I am, a rare breed, but I'm actually not against density. I think if we can save as much of our soil as we can, it could be an even greater benefit. So I'm not afraid of tall buildings if it means that we can have a little bit more of our soil and our agricultural lands retained. So in my imagination, in my world, we could just as easily have a story building with apartment units in it with, a big, beautiful open space available.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Stefano Vargas, resident of Vista. I am concerned about this project. With that, I'm speaking about this because as a council, you have had many discussions about homelessness. The developer talked about the benefit to the community. Well, how many current residents in our community are going to have access to these homes? So looking at the proposal and with the, $1 million homes,
and if you can read carefully between the lines, you heard this evening, there are those that would advocate for an even greater density here. And so I think it's a concern that there be a development that is amenable to the neighbors, that is approved. It could potentially be an alternative in the long run to something that you might like much less.
I really, similar to Councilmember Contreras, I don't believe that density is always a bad thing. I think that density is part of what it means for us to grow safely. This endless sprawl that we see throughout our community, the eating up of our agricultural lands, to prioritize, continued single-family zoning, which this is single-family zoning. I'm critical of those things. So I think that density, when applied appropriately in a community, can have benefits to the community. It sounds like fire safety could be improved in that area, but overall, single-family zoning is a huge risk factor when it comes to fire safety. So I'm critical of that as well.
My motto is we need to build enough housing for our kids, but not turn Vista into Los Angeles. I do not want to see high-rise, high-density overtake our single-family neighborhoods. And so when I have an opportunity to approve a quality single-family proposal that is 2 stories instead of 3, that is not ultra-high density, I look at that as a win. And I know that you don't necessarily look at it as a win right now, but we've had proposals that have been turned down, and 3 or 4 years later, something gets built that's much more dense. And so, I really feel that this is this strikes a balance. It's not an apartment complex, and at some point in the future, it could be if it's not built as single-family homes. Vista is, has less revenues per capita than a lot of our neighbors. Our school system has less dollars to work with. To me, it's very important that we are bringing up the per capita tax base so that we can serve the interests of the children who live in Vista today. They are our constituents today. And so I think it's very important if we have the chance to build housing that's close to the median. This housing is below the county's average median home price. So even though it's expensive, it's not. It's less expensive than half of the houses in the county. So I just still think it's bringing the area up, and I think it's a benefit in the end. So I do support the project.